Metal shrieks as a wrench skips across the hangar floor. "Get your hands off my aircraft," the pilot barks, shoving the older mechanic into the jet's cold fuselage. Fuel stings the air. She keeps her feet, jaw tight. "This hydraulic line fails at 35,000, she says, holding up a grease-smeared report. He snatches it. "You don't tell me what's safe." He twists her arm, paper tearing, then hurls the wrench, thud, into her shoulder. He storms aboard. Engines spool. Hidden cloth patch brushes her ribs. The hangar lights buzz overhead, bleaching everything the color of bone. Polished executive jets sit nose to tail like show horses, their white paint catching reflections from the epoxy floor. Tool chests line Bay 5C and Bay 5D, drawers half open, tags fluttering in the exhaust breeze. Outside, heat ripples off the tarmac, and the scent of Jet A clings to the back of the throat. Maya Johnson stands with her back to the fuselage that just bruises her shoulder. Her fingers flex once, twice, then settle around the edge of her clipboard like it is a handrail in rough weather. The pilot's footsteps fade up the stairs, and the cabin door seals with a soft, expensive click. Evan Crowley, everyone in the hangar knows the name, shouts from inside before the door even closes. "Pull the chocks, now." A young line tech, Corey, hesitates near the nose wheel. His eyes dart to Maya's shoulder, then to the hydraulic fluid streaked along the access panel she has opened. His mouth tightens as if he tastes blood. "Sir," the mechanic says. "She's not my mechanic," Crowley snaps. "She's a temp, a mistake." Maya keeps her voice level, almost quiet. "If you taxi, you are gambling with your own life." The words land in the open space between them, and a couple of senior technicians glance up from their workstations. One of them, Hank Miller, wipes his hands on a rag and watches the scene like he has seen it too many times. His eyebrows lift a fraction when Maya uses taxi instead of take off, precise in a way the average shop floor argument rarely is. Crowley appears in the doorway, sunglasses already on, jaw working. He points at the open panel like it offends him. "Close that. You don't touch my bird again." Maya's gaze stays fixed on the actuator line, on the faint, wet sheen that tells the truth no one wants to hear. Her nostrils flare once. The return line coupling is degraded. The clamp is not torqued to spec. Under load, it bleeds pressure. Corey swallows hard. Hank's eyes narrow, tracking the line like he can suddenly see it too. Crowley laughs, sharp and humorless. "I've flown for 20 years. Maya answers without raising her volume. "And you lose hydraulics in 10 minutes if you climb." A beat of silence hangs, thin as safety wire. Maya's shoulder throbs with each heartbeat, but she does not reach for it. Her posture stays straight, feet planted, as if the floor under her is moving and she is trained not to show it. "Security," Crowley calls, turning his head toward the front office. "Get this woman out of here." A uniformed guard steps into view near the glass-walled dispatch room. He pauses when he sees Maya's face. His eyes flick to the access panel, then to the torn edge of the report still crumpled in Crowley's fist. The guard's hand hovers near his radio, uncertain. Maya looks at him, not pleading, not challenging, just steady. "If you remove me, document it. Time and badge number." The guard blinks. "Ma'am?" "Time. Badge number," she repeats, and her voice carries something that makes Hank straighten slightly like a reflex. Crowley snorts. "Listen to her, acting like she runs the place." Maya's left hand drifts, almost absent, to the inside of her coveralls where the fabric bulges faintly at her ribs. Her fingertips brush a stitched edge, cloth over thread, then drop away. Hank notices the motion. His head tilts, eyes sharpening, as if he has caught a glimpse of something that doesn't belong on a temp mechanic. The guard clears his throat. "Sir, maybe we should—" "Move," Crowley barks. "I'm wheels up in 6. Corey's hands tremble on the wheel chock. He looks at Maya again, searching her face for permission to disobey. Maya gives him none, She simply turns her head toward the jet's belly and speaks, crisp and technical, to the airframe itself. You have 200 psi margin at best. When it drops, your flight controls stiffen first. Corey's eyes widen. How do you... Long story, Maya says, and the words are flat, not coy. Hank steps closer, boots squeaking on the glossy floor. His voice drops. Ma'am, you sure about this? Maya meets his gaze. Her eyes do not flinch. I am sure. Crowley tosses the torn report onto the floor like trash. The paper skitters and catches against Maya's boot. A single line of typed text is visible before it folds. Hydraulic system B. Return coupling. Critical. Maya does not bend to pick it up yet. She watches the crew unhook ground power, hears the GPU whine change pitch, hears the jet's APU settle into a smooth, confident hum that does not deserve to be trusted. The guard steps toward Maya, still hesitant. Ma'am, I'm supposed to escort you off the ramp. Maya turns her body slightly so her bruised shoulder stays away from him. Her breath stays controlled. You can walk with me, she says, but you can't pretend you didn't hear me. Across the hangar, a receptionist behind the glass dispatch wall lifts a phone, eyes darting between Maya and Crowley. Her lips part as if she is about to speak, then she stops, watching Crowley's expression harden into certainty. Crowley descends the steps, strides across the tarmac and climbs into the cockpit. The door seals again. A moment later, the jet's engines spin higher, a rising whine that vibrates through the bones. The exhaust blast flutters hangar tags and sends dust skating along the floor. Corey yanks the chocks free, hands shaking. I'm sorry, he whispers, so low only Maya hears. Maya finally bends and picks up the torn report, smoothing it once against her thigh. Her jaw tightens, her lips press into a thin line. She watches the jet roll forward, nose swinging toward the taxiway like a decision made without consent. At 3:47 p.m., the tail number gleams in the sun as it crosses the hangar threshold. Maya's eyes track it, unblinking, as if she is memorizing the arc of a coming problem. Hank stands beside her now, voice rough. Who are you really? Maya does not look away from the moving aircraft. Someone who doesn't want to attend another memorial, she says. The jet turns, gains speed, and disappears toward the runway. Maya exhales through her nose, slow, measured. Her fingers slide again to the inside pocket of her coveralls, touching that hidden patch as if confirming it is still there, still waiting. Then she turns toward the dispatch office, toward the phones and radios that will start screaming soon enough. If you believe that no one should ever face workplace assault while trying to prevent a disaster, type accountability below. Then comment your country and city. Let's see where people stand against abuse of power worldwide. Your participation shows that accountability knows no borders. The dispatch office smells like burnt coffee and printer toner, a sharp contrast to the hangar's fuel and solvent bite. Fluorescent panels hum above a clutter of clipboards, laminated safety charts, and a radio console with worn knobs polished by anxious hands. Through the glass, Bay 5C sits wide open to the runway, heat shimmer warping the tail of Crowley's jet as it lines up. Maya steps to the counter and sets the torn report down with 2 fingers, careful, like evidence. The receptionist, Laura Price, keeps her smile glued on, but her eyes flick to Maya's bruised shoulder. He didn't have to do that, she whispers. Maya's gaze stays on the radio, her pupils fix, unblinking. Write down what you saw, she says. Exact words, exact time. Hank appears in the doorway behind her, rag still in his hand. His jaw works once like he's chewing regret. Crowley's got people, he mutters. You push back, you don't work here again. Maya turns just enough for him to see her face full on. Her expression stays controlled. Only a tiny pulse jumps at her temple. "I'm not here for job security," she says. Corey edges in next, shoulders hunched. He keeps rubbing his palms on his pants. "That leak. I've seen seepage before, but you called the sequence. Controls stiffen first." His eyes dart to her hands. "How do you know the order?" Maya's fingers drum once on the counter, then stop. "Because systems fail the same way when the margin is gone," she says. "Air, sea, orbit. Physics doesn't care who's rich." A shrill burst of static cuts across the room. The tower frequency crackles, routine, distant. Then a clipped voice slices through. "Executive 79er Charlie, verify hydraulic pressure readings." Laura's breath catches. Hank's shoulders stiffen. Corey's eyes widen, locked on Maya as if she's the only stable object in the room. Maya leans toward the console without touching it yet. Her posture straightens, spine aligned, like training snapping into place. "It's early," she murmurs, almost to herself. "It bleeds before it breaks." Laura swallows. "Should I call maintenance control?" Maya's gaze shifts to the hangar wall phone, then back to the radio. "Call," she says, "and start a log. Every transmission." Behind her coveralls, the hidden cloth patch presses against her ribs when she inhales. She doesn't reach for it this time. She simply listens as the frequency hisses again. Closer, tighter, like an alarm that finally finds its voice. The hangar goes quiet in a way Maya recognizes, like the pause before a checklist turns into a prayer. Outside the dispatch glass, the runway shimmers. A Gulfstream's engines howl somewhere beyond the doors, the sound bouncing off corrugated walls and settling into the chest like vibration. The radio console spits a low hiss, and the smell of hot electronics mixes with Jet A and the lemony cleaner Laura uses to fight the coffee stains. Laura's pen scratches across a legal pad. Time, tail number, words. Her hand shakes, then steadies when Maya's shadow falls over the counter. "Executive 79er Charlie, say hydraulic quantity." The tower calls again, sharper now. Maya doesn't touch the controls yet. Her eyes track the frequency display, then flick to Hank. Hank's gaze locks on the torn report, on the phrase critical like it's suddenly glowing. His jaw clenches. "Crowley's gonna blame the shop," he mutters. Corey leans in, breath fast. "They'll blame her," he whispers, chin jutting toward Maya. He swallows hard. They always do. Maya's fingers curl around the edge of the counter, knuckles whitening for a beat, then easing. "Log it," she tells Laura. 2 words, flat as steel. Static bursts again. Crowley's voice slams through the speaker, clipped and irritated. "Tower. Executive 79er Charlie. Quantities normal. Pressures fluctuating." Maya's head tilts a fraction, like she's listening to a heartbeat with a stethoscope. Her bruised shoulder shifts under the coveralls. She doesn't wince, but her lips press tight. "He's still in the climb," she says. Hank's brows draw together. "How can you tell?" Maya's eyes don't leave the console. "The way he says, fluctuating," she answers. "He's feeling it in the yoke." Laura's voice drops. "Do we tell him to come back?" Maya finally reaches for the mic. Not frantic, not performative. Her hand settles like she's done this in a harsher place with worse odds. The hidden patch at her ribs shifts when she inhales, cloth brushing skin. "Ground maintenance requesting relay," she says into the radio, calm enough to make the room follow her tempo. A beat. Then the tower. "Maintenance, go ahead." Maya leans closer, her pupils fix, unblinking. "Tower, advise Executive 79er Charlie to maintain altitude below 10,000 and return immediately. Possible System B, return coupling failure. Expect primary flight controls stiffening, then gear extension issues." Corey's mouth falls open. "System B." He starts, then stops, eyes darting to Hank like he's watching Maya step out of her skin. Hank's shoulders square. That's the exact chain," he murmurs. Crowley cuts back in, scoffing through tension. Maintenance, stay in your lane, I've got it. Maya doesn't argue. Her voice stays even, almost cold. Evan, if pressure drops again, do not force the yoke. Trim first, reduce speed, declare an emergency now. Laura freezes at the name, Evan, spoken like Maya knows him beyond the hangar floor. Laura's eyes widen, then flick down to Maya's coveralls, to the way Maya's posture stays too perfect, too trained. On the frequency, there's a thin, involuntary edge in Crowley's breathing. How do you know my name? Maya's gaze shifts once to the dispatch window, to the runway heat and the pale line of sky beyond it. Because names don't matter at impact, she says into the mic. Procedures do. The tower interrupts, urgency rising. Executive 7-9er Charlie, radar shows you leveling off. Confirm you're returning. A long pause, then Crowley, smaller now. Tower, stand by. Hank's eyes dart to Maya's bruised shoulder, to the torn report, to the calm hand still resting on the mic. Who are you? He mouths without sound. Maya exhales slowly through her nose, controlled. Someone who has watched a system fail and never forgets the noise it makes, she says, quiet enough that only the room hears it, while the radio hisses like a fuse burning down. The dispatch room air feels tighter, as if the building holds its breath with the people inside it. Fluorescent light turns Laura Price's knuckles pale as she grips her pen. The radio console's green digits glow against scuffed plastic, and every hiss of static sounds like sand pouring through an hourglass. Through the glass wall, the hangar yawns open to the runway. Heat shimmer, bright sky, and a thin ribbon of taxiway where the world keeps moving like nothing is wrong. Executive 7-9er Charlie, say souls on board and fuel remaining, the tower demands. Crowley's reply comes late, smeared with breathing he can't hide. 2 souls, enough fuel. Hank Miller's gaze darts from the speaker to Maya Johnson's hands. Her fingers rest on the edge of the microphone, steady, squared, trained. The bruise on her shoulder darkens under the fabric, and when she shifts, the coveralls pull just enough to reveal a line of old, pale scarring at her forearm. Corey's eyes catch it and lock there, then snap up to her face. His mouth opens, then closes. He swallows like he tastes metal. Maya keeps her chin level. Evan, she says into the mic again, voice low and controlled. You're not in a debate with me. You're in a physics problem. On the frequency, a brittle laugh tries to form and dies halfway. You're the mechanic I fired. Maya's jaw tightens once. You didn't fire me, she answers. You shoved me. Different thing. Laura's pen scratches faster. The words on her pad tilt as her hand trembles, then she forces them straight. She looks up, eyes glassy. He can't hear you, she whispers as if the radio is a wall. Maya's eyes don't move from the console. He can, she says. He's choosing not to. Static pops. The tower cuts in again now with a second voice layered underneath. Approach control. Calm but urgent. Executive 7-9er Charlie, you are cleared direct back to Riverside Executive. Wind 210 at 8. Report when you have the field. Crowley answers too quickly, like speed can substitute for control. I don't. My controls are stiff. It's like... He sucks in air. Like I'm dragging a truck. Corey flinches. Hank's lips part. Maya's eyelids lower a fraction, a microsecond of recognition. That's pressure dropping, she says, not into the mic yet, just to the room as if confirming a diagnosis. Hank leans close, voice rough. He's gonna die, isn't he? Maya turns her head just enough to meet Hank's eyes. Her stare is direct, unblinking. Not if he listens, she says. Then she keys the mic. Evan, reduce airspeed. Trim for hands off. Don't fight the yoke. Crowley's breathing stutters. Trim isn't. He stops, and the silence that follows is worse than yelling. Laura's shoulders rise with a sharp inhale. Corey's fingers drum against his thigh, fast and helpless. Hank's hand clenches around his rag until his knuckles ridge white. Maya continues, calm like a metronome. If you force it, you'll overcorrect. Gentle inputs. Let the aircraft tell you what it can still do. Crowley snaps, small and scared beneath the arrogance. What makes you think you know what I'm feeling? Maya's voice doesn't change. Because I've flown with delayed response before, she says, and I know the moment when panic steals your hands. The tower interrupts. Executive 79er Charlie, we show your descent rate increasing. Confirm you are in control. Crowley doesn't answer for 3 full seconds. The room counts them without meaning to. Laura's eyes squeeze shut. Corey's shoulders hunch. Hank's jaw clenches so hard a muscle jumps at his temple. Then, Mayday, Crowley says, and the word comes out strangled. Mayday, mayday, loss of hydraulic pressure, difficulty controlling aircraft. Corey exhales a broken sound. He said it. Maya's fingers tighten once on the mic, then relax. Good, she says quiet. Now we can save him without his pride getting in the way. Hank's eyes widen. What do you mean, we? Maya doesn't answer. She turns slightly toward the dispatch window, where the runway lies like a strip of promise and consequence. Her posture aligns, shoulders square, spine straight, as if an invisible harness cinches her into a seat that isn't there. For a heartbeat, her left hand slides to the inside of her coveralls, pressing the cloth patch at her ribs like it is a switch. She doesn't pull it out. She just confirms it's real, and then her hand returns to the radio. Laura whispers, barely audible. Maya? Who are you? Maya keys the mic. Tower, this is ground maintenance, she says. I'm going to talk him through a manual profile. Keep the frequency clear. Approach control hesitates, just a beat long enough for the power dynamic to show itself. Then the controller's voice returns, clipped with relief. Maintenance proceed. Frequency is yours. Hank's eyebrows lift, stunned. They just gave you... Maya cuts him off with a glance, not harsh, focused. Log every word, she tells Laura. If anyone tries to rewrite this later, your notes stay alive. Crowley's voice breaks in again, ragged. I can't turn. It's not responding. Maya's tone becomes even more precise, each syllable a rung on a ladder. Evan, look at your airspeed. Say it. 2190. He pants. Bring it to 160. Use power, not pitch, Maya says. Small changes. Count to 3 between inputs. Why count? Crowley spits, and fear makes him mean. Because your hands lie when your brain screams, Maya answers. Counting keeps you honest. Corey stares at her like she just pulled gravity into the room. That's not a mechanic thing to say. Maya doesn't look at him. It's a survival thing, she says. She listens to Crowley's breathing, to the way his syllables scrape. She hears the failure in the pauses, the same rhythm she recognizes from places where there is no runway, only procedure and luck. Her eyes narrow, then widen slightly as another sound rides the frequency. A faint alarm tone from his cockpit, high and insistent. Evan, she says, and for the first time her voice carries steel. Gear may not extend normally. You will plan for a partial. Do you understand? There's a gulp on the line. I understand. Maya closes her eyes for a half-second, then opens them, gaze fixed. In America, people are taught that credentials speak for themselves, that competence automatically earns respect. But the room proves the opposite. Respect often arrives only after the danger becomes undeniable, and dignity is forced to do the work that fairness refuses to do. Laura's pen continues to move. Hank's rag hangs forgotten at his side. Corey leans toward the speaker, lips parted. The entire hangar seems to tilt toward the radio as Crowley's life shrinks down to a voice and a set of numbers. The specific experience of Maya Johnson is anchored in broader, documented historical patterns. After the 1970 Apollo 13 accident, NASA's investigation boards documented how cascading system failures and human decision-making under stress can determine survival in minutes. NASA History Office records. Safety culture reforms that followed, checklists, redundancy, and independent verification became models across aviation. The National Transportation Safety Board has repeatedly emphasized maintenance documentation and adherence to procedures as critical factors in preventing accidents. These aren't isolated incidents. They're systemic patterns requiring continued vigilance and reform. Maya opens her eyes fully and keys the mic again. "Tower, confirm emergency vehicles are rolling," she says. "Affirmative." The controller replies, "All units are deploying." Maya's gaze flicks to the torn report on the counter, then back to the radio. "Evan," she says, "you are going to line up, and you are going to land. You follow my words exactly." Crowley's breathing shakes. "Okay." Maya's fingers hover over the transmit button, steady as a lockpick. "Start your turn now," she says, "and tell me when the runway fills your windshield." The hangar feels like a cathedral built for machines, steel ribs overhead, banners of caution tape, the distant whine of turbines echoing off corrugated walls. Outside the open doors, the late afternoon sun turns the ramp into a mirage. Inside dispatch, the radio's hiss rides Maya Johnson's breathing, steady and measured, as if she sets the tempo for the whole building. "Start your turn now," Maya says into the mic, "and tell me when the runway fills your windshield." Crowley's voice comes back thin. "Turning. It's sluggish." "Small inputs," Maya replies. "Count to 3, then correct." Hank Miller leans on the counter, forearms rigid, eyes locked on the speaker. A tendon jumps in his jaw. Corey stands behind him, fingers pinching the hem of his shirt until the fabric twists. Laura Price keeps writing, her pen squeaking across paper. She underlines time so hard the ink dents the pad. On the frequency, a new sound enters. Approach calling traffic, clearing airspace like moving furniture out of a burning room. "All aircraft hold position. Emergency inbound." Maya doesn't look up. "Evan, read me your hydraulic pressure." A pause. A swallow audible even through static. "It's dropping. 1,900. I don't know what it's supposed to be." "It's supposed to stay stable," Maya says. "You're past that. Now we manage what you have." Her eyes narrow at the console display, then flick to Laura. "Right." He admits unfamiliarity with normal readings. Laura's eyebrows lift. "Got it." Hank's head turns a fraction toward Maya. "You're building a case," he murmurs. Maya's lips press together for a beat. "I'm building the truth," she says, then keys the mic again. "Evan, set flaps to approach. If they resist, don't force. Tell me what happens." Crowley exhales like air leaks from him. Flaps, moving, slow. "Except slow," Maya says. "Slow is still movement." Corey whispers, eyes wide. How is she so calm? Hank doesn't answer. He watches Maya's hands, how her thumb rests on the transmit switch without shaking, how her wrist angle stays perfect. It looks less like a mechanic at a counter and more like someone strapped into a seat with consequences. The tower's voice cuts in. "Executive 79er Charlie, you're 6 miles final. Wind 210 at 8. Emergency vehicles are staged." Maya's gaze shifts to the window, to the runway line painted in the distance beyond hangar doors, then back to the speaker. "Evan, when you see the runway, say the words." Crowley's breathing turns ragged. I see it. It's It's right there. Good, Maya says. Now listen. If your controls stiffen completely, you will use trim and power. You will not yank. I can't, Crowley snaps, anger trying to cover fear. My hands. Your hands are not in charge. Maya cuts in, voice suddenly sharper, a clean blade. Your discipline is. In dispatch, the room stills. Laura's pen pauses mid-stroke. Hank's eyes widen a fraction. Corey's mouth parts. Crowley goes quiet. Maya softens by a degree, not kindness, precision. Read me your airspeed. 168. Bring it to 160, she says. Power back a touch, count to 3. A beat. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Now confirm. 161, Crowley says, and a tremor runs through the number like he can't believe he hit it. Hold that, Maya replies. You're doing the work now. Hank mutters. Almost reverent. He's actually listening. Maya's eyes flick to the torn report on the counter. The word, critical, peeks out from a fold. She slides it closer to Laura without looking. Keep that with your notes, she says. Laura nods quickly, cheeks damp. I will. Static cracks. Crowley's voice spikes. The gear, it's not. The light's blinking. Maya's shoulders remain square, but her jaw tightens. Say exactly what you see. 3 green isn't solid, he says. It's blinking, I don't. Manual extension, Maya says immediately. Locate the handle. Pull with steady force, not a jerk. I'm flying, Crowley snaps. Then engage autopilot if you have it, Maya replies. If autopilot won't hold, keep wings level, and do it in phases. Tell me when your hand is on the handle. Silence, then strained breathing. Hands on it. Pull, Maya says. Count. 1, 2, 3. Crowley grunts. It moved. Again, Maya says. He pulls. Okay. The tower's voice cuts in, urgent. Executive 7-9er Charlie, your track is drifting left of center line. Crowley curses under his breath. Maya's voice drops, controlled. Evan, ignore the urge to chase the line. Fix your attitude first. Center line comes second. Hank's eyes dart to Corey, then back. That's pilot talk, he whispers, like saying it too loudly will make it vanish. Corey nods fast. Nobody teaches that in A&P school. Maya hears them but doesn't turn. Her gaze stays forward, unblinking, as if she sees the approach through Crowley's eyes. Evan, she says, tell me, is the runway growing or sliding? It's sliding, he admits, small. Then you correct with a breath, not a punch, Maya says. Right rudder, slight. Count to 3. Crowley's voice steadies by millimeters. 1, 2, 3. Now tell me what the runway does, Maya says. It's coming back, he whispers, and the word carries surprise, like he discovers control still exists. Maya exhales once through her nose, slow. Good, she says. In moments you're over the numbers. When I say flare, you ease back, not before. Laura's pen resumes, faster than ever. Hank's rag drops to the floor unnoticed. Corey leans in until his shoulder nearly touches the speaker, eyes fixed and shining. Crowley's breathing fills the frequency. If I mess this up, Maya answers without heat. Then you don't, she says. Stay with my words. Outside, distant sirens begin to wail across the runway, faint but rising, like the world finally taking Maya seriously. And on the radio, as the jet closes on the ground, a sudden sharp alarm tone chirps again, higher than before, announcing a new failure stacking on top of the first. Maya's eyes widen a fraction. Evan, she says, tell me what just lit up. The alarm tone slices through the speaker like a needle. In dispatch, it makes every hair on Corey's arms lift. Outside the hangar doors, sirens flash red against sun-bleached concrete, and the smell of hot asphalt drifts in with the exhaust haze. The radio console vibrates under Maya Johnson's palm. It's plastic warm from constant transmission. Evan, Maya says, voice level. Tell me what just lit up. Crowley's breathing scrapes. It says FLT Cottrell and something about HYD low. I don't copy. Maya cuts in. That warning means your remaining pressure is collapsing. You fly the attitude. You stop chasing the airplane. The tower steps on, clipped and loud. Executive 7-9er Charlie wins now 220 at 1-1. You're slightly fast. Maya doesn't flinch. Her eyes fix on an invisible horizon, pupils steady. Evan, ignore the wind call for a second. Read me airspeed. 175. Bring it to 160, she says. Power back. Count to 3 between changes. I'm trying, he snaps. And the old arrogance returns for half a breath, then breaks. It's not responding. It is responding, Maya answers, and her jaw tightens like a clamp. It's delayed. You wait it out. Laura's pen squeals as she writes delayed response acknowledged. Hank leans in, voice low. If he hits hard, the lawyers bury us. Maya's gaze flicks to him, one sharp glance that pins him in place. Then we make sure he doesn't, she says. Crowley swallows audibly. Runways, moving again. Rudder, Maya orders. Slight, count. 1, 2, 3. Now hold, she says. You don't keep correcting after it comes back. You let it settle. A second voice crackles in, another pilot holding short. Tower, we're seeing smoke off that jet's left side. Corey's eyes widen. His hands grip the counter until his knuckles blanch. Hank's mouth drops open, then shuts hard. Maya's shoulders stay square. Evan, she says, do you smell anything? Any smoke in the cockpit? A beat. No, not yet. Good, Maya replies. Then it's likely fluid hitting heat. You keep flying. No distractions. The tower returns, urgent. Executive 7-9er Charlie. You're crossing the fence. Confirm gear status. Crowley's voice shakes. I think it's down. Lights. Not steady. Maya's thumb rests on the transmit button, unmoving. You commit to landing, she says. You keep wings level. When you touch, you do not slam brakes. Let it roll. Crowley exhales, ragged. Okay. Maya watches the runway through the glass like she can see the approach path drawn in the air. On my mark, she says softly. You flare. The radio fills with Crowley's breathing, loud enough to hear the tremor under the arrogance. Outside the dispatch glass, the runway looks unreal, white stripes vibrating in heat shimmer, red trucks staged like toys, their lights spinning against the hangar's grey steel. Inside, the air tastes of burnt coffee and ozone from the console, and the fluorescent buzz seems to sharpen every second. Maya's eyes lock forward. Her jaw tightens once, then releases. Flare, she says. A long half-second passes. Too long. Then Crowley's voice cracks. I'm flaring. She's not. Ease. Maya cuts in. You don't pull. You breathe it back. Static. A dull thump comes through the mic, followed by a screeching, rising vibration that makes Corey wince like the sound hits his teeth. Hank's hands clamp on the counter edge. His knuckles turn white. That's contact, he whispers. The tower booms over the frequency. Executive 7-9er Charlie, you are down. Maintain center line. Emergency equipment is pacing. Crowley's exhale comes out like a sob he tries to swallow. I'm down, I'm down. Maya's voice stays even. Let it roll, she says. No hard braking. Keep it straight with rudder. Tell me if you lose steering. A second pilot cuts in, urgent. Tower, there's a spray left main. Looks like fluid. Maya's eyes narrow. Her fingers tighten around the mic for one beat. Evan, do you have brake pressure? Maybe soft, he answers. Then you use aerodynamic drag, Maya says. Nose up slightly. Let speed bleed. Do not lock anything. Outside, a faint smear of smoke trails behind the landing jet, visible through the hangar opening like a pencil line across the sky's brightness. Laura's pen pauses mid-word. A tear drops onto the paper and spreads the ink. The tower calls. 79er Charlie, exit at taxiway Delta. Fire crews report minor smoke, no flames. Crowley's voice turns small. I can't turn, feels heavy. Maya leans closer, her posture snapping tighter as if a harness cinches her ribs. You don't force the turn, she says. You roll farther. You let them escort you. Keep it straight. A long, ragged silence follows. Then Crowley finally says, quieter than anyone in the room expects, You saved me. Maya doesn't answer the gratitude. Her eyes flick once to the torn report beside Laura's notes, then to Hank's stunned face. Tower, she says, confirm aircraft is stopped and secured. Affirmative, the controller replies. Aircraft is stopped, crews are surrounding. Maya releases the transmit button. The sudden quiet in dispatch feels like pressure, equalizing after a rupture. Corey whispers, almost afraid to speak. What happens when he realizes what he did to you? The hangar's noise creeps back in like a tide. Tool drawers clacking shut, a distant tug beeping in reverse, the faint roar of another engine spooling somewhere across the field. Outside the dispatch glass, Crowley's jet sits on the runway shoulder, surrounded by emergency vehicles whose red strobes flash against the white fuselage. The air that drifts in through the open personnel door carries burned rubber, hot metal, and the sweet bite of hydraulic fluid cooked on a brake assembly. Corey's question hangs there. What happens when he realizes what he did to you? Maya Johnson doesn't answer right away. Her eyes stay on the radio console as if it might speak again. The tendons in her neck tighten, then ease. Her left shoulder throbs in a slow pulse under her coveralls, but her hands remain still, palms flat on the counter like she is grounding herself. Laura's voice comes out thin. He's alive because of you. Maya's gaze slides to Laura's legal pad. Timestamps, quotes, the exact moment the word Mayday appears in ink. She nods once, small. Make a copy, she says, photo it, email it to yourself. 2 places. Hank exhales through his nose, rough. Crowley's gonna spin this. He always does. Maya turns her head toward Hank. Her eyes fix on him, unblinking. Then we don't let him control the record, she says. A ringtone buzzes from the wall phone, dispatch line 1. Laura snatches it up, then freezes, eyes widening as she listens. They're asking for a Dr. Johnson, she whispers, covering the receiver with her hand. They said federal. Corey's mouth opens. Hank's brows lift so high they crease his forehead. Even the security guard by the glass wall straightens, his hand drifting to his belt like he expects trouble. Maya's chin stays level. Put it on speaker, she says. Laura's finger trembles as she presses the button. A calm voice fills the room, all clipped vowels and practiced restraint. This is Special Agent Renee Carter with the Department of Transportation, Office of Inspector General. I need to speak with Maya Johnson immediately. Hank blurts, Inspector General? Agent Carter doesn't react to the interruption. We have an FAA team en route. Do not allow anyone to delete maintenance logs, flight data, or security footage. Laura's throat works. She's right here. Maya steps closer to the phone. Her breath stays controlled. This is Maya. A beat. Carter's tone shifts, not warmer, but certain. Ma'am, are you injured? Maya touches the fabric over her shoulder with 2 fingers, a quick assessment. Bruised, she says. Functional. Understood, Carter replies. Airport police are taking a preliminary assault statement from Mr. Crowley. We need yours as well, and we need your access to the Bay records. Hank's lips part. Assault statement, he repeats, incredulous. Maya's eyes flick to him. He shoved me, twisted my arm, threw a wrench, she says, voice flat. Laura wrote it. Corey saw it. The cameras saw it. Corey swallows hard, then nods once, decisive. I'll say it, he mutters. All of it. Hank's jaw clenches. He looks away toward the hangar floor where the torn report had been, as if guilt sits there like an oil stain. I saw him grab you, Hank admits quietly. I didn't stop it. Maya doesn't scold him. She just holds his gaze for a second. Steady, not forgiving, not punishing. Then you tell the truth now, she says. Agent Carter continues. Dr. Johnson, the aircraft's crew reports you provided live emergency guidance over a ground radio patch. We are securing the recordings. Corey's eyes dart to Maya's face. She said, Doctor, he whispers, like the word is too big for the room. Maya doesn't correct it. Secure everything, she tells Carter. The hangar is a contamination site. Logs, talk sheets, parts tags, CCTV, especially Bay 5C and 5D, and pull the work orders tied to hydraulic system B. Hank stares. You know exactly what to request, he says, almost to himself. Maya's fingers slip to the inside of her coveralls again, just for a heartbeat. The cloth patch presses against her ribs, the stitched edge catching her fingertip. She keeps it hidden. She lets the mystery do its work a little longer. Outside, a commotion flares near the hangar entrance, boots on concrete, radios chirping, a burst of voices overlapping. The security guard turns his head sharply, his eyes narrow. Two men in dark suits and reflective vests stride in, FAA badges swinging from lanyards. Behind them, a woman with a hard bun and a tablet moves like she owns the airspace. The smell of rain rides in on them, though the sky is still bright. Cold air from an approaching front, sneaking under the hangar doors. The lead investigator stops at the dispatch counter and scans the room. We're looking for Maya Johnson, he says, crisp. Senior aerospace safety consultant. Corey's breath catches. Laura's pen slips, leaving a jagged line across the page. Hank's shoulders square without meaning to. Maya steps forward one pace. Her posture stays calm, but something in her stance changes, like a lock turning. You found her, she says. The investigator's gaze drops to her coveralls, then to the bruise blooming under the fabric, then back to her face. His expression tightens. Ma'am, we received an anonymous FAA hotline report about recurring hydraulic coupling failures tied to this facility, he says. And we have reason to believe maintenance documentation is being falsified. Hank's face drains. Falsified, he echoes, voice hoarse. Maya's eyes move to Hank, then to Corey, then to Laura, each of them a witness now, whether they ask to be or not. Pull the torque records, she says. The clamp spec is being skipped, the seepage is being wiped and signed off. The investigator nods to his team. Start imaging the servers. Lock the parts cage. Nobody leaves. The hangar manager appears at the edge of the office doorway. Rick Dalton, tie loosened, face shiny with sweat. His smile tries to form and fails. There's no need for a scene, he says, hands lifting in a placating gesture. We handle safety internally. Maya turns toward him. Her eyes fix on his, steady and cold. Internal is how people die quietly, she says. Dalton's jaw tightens. You're just a temp mechanic. Maya doesn't raise her voice. She reaches into her coveralls and pulls the cloth patch out in one smooth motion, placing it on the counter like a badge laid on a table. The NASA meatball logo catches the fluorescent light, red vector, blue field, white letters, clean against grease-stained fabric. Corey's eyes widen until the whites show. Laura's hand flies to her mouth. Hank's breath leaves him in a single stunned exhale. Dalton's lips part. No sound comes. Maya's voice stays even. I am here because your shortcuts keep putting aircraft in the sky that should never leave the ground, she says, and because you mistook my coveralls for my ceiling. The specific experience of Maya Johnson is anchored in broader, documented historical patterns. In 2019, the FAA formally created its Safety Management System, SMS final rule for Part 121 airlines, emphasizing proactive hazard reporting and data-driven risk controls, Federal Register 2019. Research demonstrates that safety failures often persist where workers fear retaliation for speaking up. The FAA and DOTOIG have repeatedly highlighted the importance of protected reporting channels and auditable maintenance records. These aren't isolated incidents. They're systemic patterns requiring continued vigilance and reform. Maya slides Laura's notes and the torn report toward the investigator. "This is your timeline," she says, "and the assault is on camera." The investigator's eyes narrow as he reads the word critical. "We'll pull the footage," he says. At the hangar doors, the wail of airport police grows louder, approaching fast. Somewhere out on the runway, a stretcher rolls toward Crowley's jet. Maya keeps her shoulders square. She doesn't flinch as Dalton stares at the patch like it burns. She doesn't look away when Hank whispers, barely audible, "NASA." Maya answers him without turning. "3 flights," she says, calm as a torque value, "and I'm still counting." The hangar's big doors stay open, and the sirens outside smear into one long, urgent note. Red light pulses across the epoxy floor, flashing over Bay 5C's tool carts and the chrome curve of the nearest jet. The air tastes like burned brake pads and sweet hydraulic fluid, and every time a truck radio squawks, it echoes off the steel beams like a warning. Airport police push into dispatch with brisk steps. An officer with a body camera clipped to his chest lifts a hand. "Everyone stay where you are. Statements now." His partner angles toward Maya Johnson, eyes flicking to her shoulder, then to the NASA patch on the counter. His eyebrows rise just a notch before he schools his face. Rick Dalton tries again, voice slick. "This is a misunderstanding. Special Agent Renee Carter steps in behind the officers, .OIG credentials visible at her belt. "Stop talking," Carter says flat. Dalton's lips clamp shut. Maya keeps her posture square. She holds her bruised shoulder steady, chin level, eyes fixed. "The assault occurs at 3:47 p.m., she says. "Bay 5D camera. He twists my arm and throws a wrench. Then he taxis." Corey's throat bobs. He raises a hand like he's in class. "I saw it," he says, voice cracking once, then firming. "He called her incompetent. He told security to remove her." Hank swallows hard. His jaw tightens until it trembles. "I saw him shove her into the fuselage," he adds, "and I heard her warn him, clear as day." Laura slides her legal pad forward with both hands, careful not to smear the ink. "I logged every transmission," she says, "every word." Carter nods once and gestures to an investigator holding a tablet. "Pull Bay 5D and dispatch audio. Export it. Chain of custody starts now." A technician taps keys. The screen reflects in his glasses, time codes, thumbnails, a frozen frame of Crowley's hand on Maya's wrist. He whistles under his breath, then says, "This is bad." Outside, someone yells, "Press is at the gate." Then, the hangar manager's security feed auto-syncs to the facility cloud, an internal setting Rick Dalton never audits. In seconds, the clip populates a public-facing maintenance forum, gets reposted by an aviation safety account, and ricochets across platforms. Maya hears a phone vibrate on the counter. Laura reads the notification, eyes widening. "It's already at 2 million views," she whispers, "and it's climbing." Maya doesn't blink. She looks at Carter. "Good," she says softly. "Now nobody can bury it." Phones light up across the dispatch counter like a runway at night. Notifications stack, reposts, duets, stitched clips, each one carrying the same frozen moment. Evan Crowley's hand clamped around Maya Johnson's wrist, her shoulder slammed to the fuselage, the wrench midair. Outside the hangar doors, the sun drops behind a line of corporate buildings, throwing long shadows across Bay 5C. The air still reeks of scorched hydraulic fluid, and every red strobe from the fire trucks paints the jets in pulses of accusation. Special Agent Renee Carter watches the view count climb on an investigator's tablet. Her eyes narrow, then flick to Maya. 50 million will see this by morning, she says. You ready for what that brings? Maya's jaw tightens once. Truth doesn't ask permission, she replies. A paramedic walks in with a hard case and latex gloves. Ma'am, let me look at that shoulder. Maya lifts her sleeve just enough to expose swelling. The paramedic's fingers press gently. Maya's breath draws sharp for half a beat, then smooths out again. No dislocation, the medic says. Bruising. You'll feel it later. I've felt worse later, Maya answers, voice even. Rick Dalton tries to insert himself between badges and bodies, palms up, tie crooked. This is a private facility, he says. We can resolve this without ruining reputations. Carter turns her head slowly. You don't get to negotiate with evidence, she says. At the hangar entrance, Evan Crowley appears, escorted by airport police, face ashy, hair damp with sweat. His sunglasses are gone. His eyes fix on the NASA patch, still sitting on the counter like a weight. His throat bobs as he swallows. He points at Maya, but the gesture dies halfway. You... His voice cracks. He clears it and tries again, softer, meaner, confused. You set me up. Maya steps forward one pace. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't smile. I warned you, she says. You chose to take off anyway. Crowley's gaze darts to the tablet showing the assault clip. His nostrils flare. That's out of context. Hank Miller's shoulders square behind Maya. There isn't a context where you throw tools at people, he says. Corey nods fast, lips pressed tight. Or where you ignore a critical write-up, he adds, eyes wide but steady now. An FAA enforcement officer, Director Allison Grant, badge clipped to a navy blazer, walks in with a folder. Her heels click on the epoxy floor, sharp as punctuation. She stops in front of Crowley. Mr. Crowley, she says, you operated an aircraft with a known safety discrepancy and interfered with maintenance personnel. Crowley's eyes flick to the door, calculating. I landed safely. All because she talked you down, Grant replies, glancing at Maya. Then she opens the folder. The paper is crisp, official, final. Effective immediately, your pilot certificate is suspended pending emergency revocation. Crowley's face drains. His mouth opens, then shuts, jaw trembling. Grant continues, voice flat. You are also barred from this ramp while the investigation proceeds. Crowley's eyes swing back to Maya, desperate now. Who are you to do this to me? Maya's gaze holds his. Her voice stays low, precise. I'm the person you decided was disposable, she says, and I'm the reason you're breathing. Carter gestures to an officer. Take his statement, then separate him from facility management, she orders. As police guide Crowley away, his shoulders sag like a deflated suit. Maya watches him go, then turns to the investigator imaging the server racks. Pull every work order tied to that coupling batch, she says. If it's in one jet, it's in more. The investigator nods, fingers moving faster. Already finding repeats, he mutters, eyes widening at the screen. This is bigger than Crowley. The hangar's fluorescent lights feel harsher after the adrenaline drains, like they expose every fingerprint on every shiny surface. FAA investigators move with purpose between Bay 5C and Bay 5D, photographing torque seal marks, bagging discarded clamps, and taping off a parts cage that smells of rubber, solvent, and old pride. A portable printer spits labels with barcodes that click onto evidence bags. Somewhere deeper in the building, a server rack whirs steadily while a technician mirrors hard drives. the fan noise steady as a lie finally being counted. Maya Johnson stands at the dispatch counter as if it is a podium she never asked for. Her bruised shoulder sits higher than the other, swelling under the coveralls. She rolls her neck once, slow, then stills, eyes tracking the flow of badges and clipboards. Special Agent Renee Carter confers with Director Allison Grant near a bulletin board crowded with laminated safety posters no one reads. Hank Miller approaches Maya with a folded rag in his hands, twisting it like he wants to wring time backward. His eyes dart to the NASA patch, then to Maya's face. His jaw tightens, trembles, then settles. "I signed off a clamp last month," he says quietly. "Didn't put a wrench on it, just trusted the lead." Maya's gaze fixes on him, unblinking, not cruel, not soft. "Whose initials are on the sheet?" she asks. Hank swallows. "Rick's," he admits. "Dalton." He pushes numbers, says the owners want turnarounds, not delays. Across the hangar, Rick Dalton stands near a conference table with 2 attorneys and a corporate HR rep. His tie is replaced with a company-branded quarter zip, like he can dress down into innocence. When he spots Maya looking, his lips press into a thin line. His hands clasp behind his back. Executive posture, rehearsed. Carter's voice carries from the board. "We already found duplicate talk entries across 12 tales," she says. "Same timestamps, same handwriting, different aircraft." A younger investigator turns a tablet toward Grant. Rows of work orders fill the screen. The same part number repeats like a drum beat. Coupling, return line, batch 7R22. The investigator's eyes widen. "They're using the same questionable batch in multiple jets," he says. "And the discrepancy notes are being overwritten." Corey steps in from the hangar floor, cheeks smeared with grease. Phone still buzzing in his pocket. His eyes flick toward the taped-off bay, then back to Maya. "People online are calling you the mechanic astronaut," he whispers. "They're posting your patch like it's a symbol." Maya's fingers curl once, then release against the edge of the counter. "Let them watch," she says. "This is about the jets that didn't scream on the radio in time." A uniformed airport police sergeant approaches with a small recorder. "Ma'am, I need your statement on the assault," he says. Maya nods. She keeps her voice clipped, factual. "At 3:47 p.m., Evan Crowley pushes me into the fuselage, twists my arm, tears my report, throws a wrench that strikes my left shoulder, then directs security to remove me," she says. Her eyes narrow slightly as she recalls the exact sequence. There are witnesses: Hank Miller, Corey Barnes, Laura Price. There is video from Bay 5D. The sergeant glances down at her shoulder. "You want medical attention?" "I want a preservation order," Maya replies, "and I want the logs locked." Grant steps closer, blazer sharp, expression sharper. "You'll get it," she says. "But I need one more thing from you, Dr. Johnson." Her eyes flick briefly to the NASA patch, then back. "Why this hangar? Why now?" Maya inhales, slow. Her throat moves once as she swallows. "Because I recognize this failure," she says. "Because once I watch a friend die after a system bleeds out the same way." Her fingertips press lightly into the counter, then lift. "I don't let that repeat if I can stop it." For the first time, the hangar feels like it hears her. Even the tug beeping outside seems to fade. A knock of heels crosses the epoxy. Dalton's attorney steps up, a man with a crisp suit and a smile that never reaches his eyes. "My client cooperates fully," he says, "but we object to any implication of intent." Maya turns toward him. Her posture remains upright, steady. "Intent doesn't change physics," she says. Dalton's attorney's smile twitches. "And you are?" Maya's eyes hold, unwavering. "The person who reads the data you ignore," she answers. Grant flips open a folder and slides a printed document across the counter toward Carter. Emergency order, she says. Immediate cease and desist. This facility's maintenance authorization is suspended pending review. Her voice stays calm, but every word lands heavy. No more sign-offs, no more departures. Dalton's face tightens and his eyes dart toward the hangar doors as if he can outrun paperwork. You can't shut us down, he says, voice cracking at the edges. Do you know who our clients are? Carter's eyes narrow. We know exactly who they are, she says, and we know what you let them fly. Corey's phone buzzes again. He glances down, then looks up, startled. The video, he says, 50 million views just hit. Hank flinches, as if the number is a slap. Laura stands behind the counter with her copied notes in an envelope, knuckles white around the flap. She clears her throat. I emailed everything to myself and to Agent Carter, she says. Her voice shakes once, then steadies. 2 places. Maya nods at her. Good, she says. Outside, a gust of wind pushes through the open doors, carrying the smell of rain and jet exhaust. It lifts the edge of Maya's coveralls, and for a split second, the NASA patch on the counter looks like a flag planted in a place that never expected it. The specific experience of Maya Johnson is anchored in broader, documented historical patterns. After the 1988 Aloha Airlines Flight 243 incident, National Transportation Safety Board findings emphasized how maintenance oversight, documentation integrity, and inspection rigor can determine whether hidden defects become disasters. NTSB records. More recently, the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2018 strengthened whistleblower protections and safety reporting expectations across aviation operations, U.S. Congress 2018. These aren't isolated incidents, they're systemic patterns requiring continued vigilance and reform. Maya watches Dalton's face as the order is read aloud. His eyes dart, then drop. His shoulders sag by a fraction. Grant turns to Maya. We're naming a protocol update after the investigator who initiated this, she says, then pauses. After you, if you agree. Maya's jaw tightens once, then eases. Name it after the person we couldn't bring back, she says softly, and make it mandatory. Carter nods. We will, she says, and we're not done searching the records. Maya's gaze shifts to the hangar floor where tool marks, torque paint, and human choices leave their fingerprints. Then don't blink, she says, because the next shortcut always hides in the quiet. 6 months later, the new hangar smells different, less perfume and polish, more honest metal and cold morning air. Dawn light spills through high windows in pale bars, catching dust motes that drift above a line of workbenches labeled in block letters. A poster near the entrance reads, See something, log something, stop the flight. The words sit beside an FAA seal and a QR code for anonymous reporting. Outside, a steady rain taps the roof like fingernails, constant and patient. Maya Johnson stands at a training table in Bay 7A, wearing the same kind of coveralls as before. Plain, navy, unremarkable. Only her posture gives her away, shoulders squared, chin level, eyes that don't wander when a room tests her. Her left shoulder has healed, but a faint discoloration remains, a quiet reminder that impact leaves receipts. A class of new FAA safety inspectors faces her. 10 people, mixed ages, clipboards ready. A young inspector named Danielle Brooks sits in the front row, pen poised, eyes fixed. 2 rows back, an older former A&P mechanic named Victor Reyes folds his arms, skeptical but listening. Near the wall, Director Allison Grant leans against a pillar, observing without interrupting. Maya taps a laminated checklist with one knuckle. This is the Maya protocol, she says, voice even. The room stills. It is not a motivational slogan, it is a sequence. Danielle raises a hand. Ma'am, the first step is independent verification, right? Maya nods once. Independent verification, she repeats, then documentation lock. Then escalation outside the facility chain when retaliation appears. Her eyes narrow slightly. If anyone tells you, handle it internally, you write that phrase down, word for word. Victor shifts, jaw tightening. Hangar managers hate that, he says. Maya's gaze holds him. Managers who prioritize speed over safety should hate it, she answers. That's the point. Grant's mouth twitches as if she approves but refuses to show it. Maya clicks a remote. A projector displays a still frame from the viral video, a blurred wrench in midair, a hand gripping a wrist, fluorescent light bleaching faces into harsh truth. The room draws a collective breath. Maya doesn't dwell on it. She flips to the next slide. A hydraulic schematic with a highlighted return coupling and a red arrow tracing the failure cascade. This is what nearly kills Evan Crowley, she says, not because it's exotic, because it's ordinary. Danielle's eyes widen. He lost his license for good? She asks. Permanent revocation, Grant answers from the wall, voice flat. Assault, interference, and knowingly operating with an unsafe discrepancy. Victor's arms loosen. And the hangar? He asks. Maya's jaw tightens once before she speaks. Shut down for 72 days, she says. Recertified after federal monitoring, new QA leadership, and a parts audit that finds 12 jets carrying the same risk. Her fingers press on the checklist. 12 opportunities for a funeral. The rain taps harder on the roof. In the distance, a small jet taxis slowly, lights blinking, sound muted by weather. A trainee in the back, Miles Carter, no relation to the agent, raises his hand. Why go undercover? He asks. Why not show credentials up front? Maya's eyes move to him, her pupils fixed, steady. Because people who cut corners don't change for titles, she says. They change when the system forces daylight into their habits. She pauses just long enough for the words to land. And because sometimes the only way to see the truth is to stand where they think nobody important stands. She clicks again. A new slide appears. Whistleblower channels, with a list of numbers and agencies. Your badge is not just authority, she says. It's an obligation. If someone gets shoved for doing the right thing, you don't ask them to be tougher. You ask why the environment feels safe for the shove. Grant shifts her weight, eyes narrowing thoughtfully, as if the line changes something even for her. Maya steps away from the table, walking the aisle between trainees. Her boots squeak softly on the epoxy floor. She stops beside Danielle, glances at her notes, then continues. The trainees track her like a moving compass. Victor clears his throat. People online still talk about you like you're a hero, he says. Does that bother you? Maya stops. She turns her head slowly. I don't need admiration, she says. I need compliance. Her gaze sharpens. And I need courage from people who don't have patches in their pockets. At the side door, a staffer enters with a sealed envelope. He hesitates, then approaches Grant. Grant opens it, scans, then looks up at Maya. Civil suit update, she says. Crowley sues the hangar and loses. Court finds the facility negligent and the video credible. Danielle exhales. Victor's eyebrows lift. Maya's face remains composed. Only her jaw tightens, then releases. Good, she says. Let the record stand. Grant takes a step forward. We also issued the national advisory, she adds. The coupling batch is recalled. Operators are required to inspect within 30 days. Maya nods once. That saves people who will never know my name, she says. That's enough. The projector hums softly. Rainwater snakes down the window panes in thin, trembling lines. Maya looks at the trainees. 10 sets of eyes, 10 future decisions. Her voice lowers by a notch, turning reflective without losing its edge. In this country, people like to believe power is loud and obvious. Corner offices, uniforms, titles. But real power often hides in what gets signed, what gets ignored, and what gets normalized until someone finally refuses to cooperate with the lie. The training ends. Chairs scrape. Clipboards close. Danielle lingers as others file out. "Dr. Johnson," she says, voice careful, "are you going back into the field?" Maya picks up her gloves from the table, sliding them into her pocket. The fabric shifts at her ribs, and the NASA patch, now sewn inside again, presses lightly against her like a heartbeat. "Yes," she says. "Different hanger. Same physics." Danielle swallows. "Disguised?" Maya meets her eyes. "Prepared," she replies. Later in the parking lot, rain beads on Maya's windshield as she sits in her truck, hands resting on the steering wheel, her eyes fix ahead, unblinking. Her phone buzzes with a news alert. FAA expands Maya protocol training nationwide. She doesn't smile. She exhales once, slow, and starts the engine. Thank you to everyone who typed accountability and shared your locations with us. Seeing this global community united for accountability and truth proves that justice is a universal human value. If this story moved you, please subscribe for more stories of everyday professionals triumphing over abuse of power. Until next time, remember that safety begins the moment someone refuses to look away.